Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I finally got this damn computer working. It's been giving me some issues for the past couple days, which is what has been delaying this video. So I'm just going to say that it is September. I don't know which day exactly I am recording this on, nor when it will be released, so I'll just leave it a little bit vague. It's the first week of September. Thank you very much for joining in today. This episode is going to be about my recent travels. Went all around the world and back. I'm going to tell you about some things I saw, some things I realized, some things I noticed, some things that broke my heart, some things that I cried about a little bit. You know, I went through a whole gambit of emotions on these few trips recently. So I want to talk about that, and I'm going to skip out on some of the hot topics that have happened recently. You can get all that news elsewhere. But, let's get to it. This is Let's Talk About America. Let's go.
Let us be aware that while they preach the supremacy of the state, declare its omnipotence over individual man, and predict its eventual domination of all peoples on the earth, they are the focus of evil in the modern world.
We're all living in America.
We will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest.
America will find you, and we will bring you to justice.
We came, we saw, we died.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
All right. So, for all you returning viewers, all two of you, I jest. There's more than two. Anyways, so I went to 3 places in the past 3 weeks. I went to America, Americae, land of the free, home of the brave, the place where I belong. You know, went back there. Went to Serbia, went to Hungary. Noticed a lot of similarities in the places that I was at. A lot of differences, obviously, but a lot of similarities. And I want to address some of those and talk about how the world ain't so different. No matter where you're at, no matter where you go, people pretty much, the same. Except for here, clearly. In the Netherlands, people are a little bit silly. I'll give it that. I'll say that politely.
There are only 2 things I can't stand in this world. People who are intolerant of other people's cultures, and the Dutch.
What?
So anyway, yeah. A couple weeks ago, I went to America. Went with a couple Dutch brothers of mine. One of them, he said he wanted me to go to the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally with him. And, I'd always dreamed of Sturgis. I think anybody who's American knows what Sturgis is. It's, the biggest motorcycle rally in the world. So, I don't know, something like 100,000, 150,000 bikers. They descend on this little town in South Dakota. And I had always imagined it just being like this, Wild West saloon town full of modern day cowboys, just getting into bar fights and spitting tobacco everywhere and sleeping in the desert, that type of thing. I was expecting just absolute debauchery, sin, dirty, just low down type of people. And to be honest, that's what I wanted. That's, those are the type of people I like to hang out with most of the time.
I sure ain't gonna show you my dick.
But surprisingly, it was everything but. It was an amazing community. The nicest people you've ever met. Surprisingly clean. That's one thing that blew my mind a little bit, was that, I've been to music festivals all around the world, a bunch of them in America. And the type of people who go to these, modern music festivals, they're very liberal, hippy-dippy type of people, save the planet, reduce, reuse, recycle type of mentality. And it never fails, you know, at the end of Bonnaroo, at the end of Coachella, at the end of Lollapalooza. All these young, idealistic kids, you know, they preach all this nonsense, and then at the end of the weekend, they leave all their trash behind. Place looks like a tornado just came through and wrecked everything. You know, the cleanup crews are working for a week afterwards just to get everything clean and organized. And at Sturgis, I expected, you know, 150,000 bikers rolling through town. It's going to be, you know, shit in the gutters and just broken bottles everywhere, and just, you know, lines of who knows what rolled up on every table in town. But surprise, the cleanest mass gathering I've ever been to in my life. And clearly, I mean, the demographic, I'm not going to address exactly what type of people were there, because it was a varied group. You know, there were a lot of international people, there were a lot of Latinos, there were a lot of white people, there was black people, there was a bunch of Japanese, weirdly. That was kind of cool. Canadians. But the main demographic I'm talking about were older people. You know, most people there, they were, you know, 40, 45, 50, some in their 60s. Retirees were there, but it was the type of people you would imagine would have an RV and like a couple Harleys in their driveway. Those were the type of people that were there. And I mean, to the surprise of no one, but I guess me, everybody there took care of themselves. You know, everybody, they brought their RVs, they brought their camping equipment, they had their barbecue, they were out there eating, you know, barbecuing up the nicest food. I expected just a bunch of drunk people running around, throwing up everywhere. Wasn't that at all. Everybody was absolutely wonderful, polite, just give you everything you need. It was great. It was absolutely great. Me and the buddy I went with, he loves his motorcycles. He's a bit of a biker himself. Unfortunately, we were not able to, on such short notice, ride motorcycles out there. So we had to rent a car from the airport and just drive straight there, which was an event in itself. I'm going to tell you right now, this is one thing that I miss about being in America. And I'm not talking like, you know, New York City, LA America. I'm talking like the real America, being in America. As we got in that SUV, we hit the highway, and it was one highway straight for like 800, 900 miles or something. And it was about like a 9-10 hour drive. And it was amazing. It was just a straight shot on this back road highway. I was popping Modelo's the whole time, just drinking and driving. I know, I'm not supposed to do that. You know, don't arrest me now. But it was just amazing. There's nothing better than just kicking back, putting on that cruise control, turning your music up, hitting that Modelo, arguing with your buddy. It's amazing. I mean, if I could do that, you know, for half the year, I would be right there. I would love it. You know, it's a little bit of heaven for a day. But like I said, it was a beautiful, beautiful drive out there. If you don't know, Sturgis it's in South Dakota, so you know, we flew into Minneapolis and we drove straight from Minneapolis to Sturgis. And the rolling hills that go through South Dakota, it was hot as shit. Loved it. But the rolling hills, that just endless sky, it made me miss it. I can't lie. It was making me on the inside tear up a bit, because you know, I'm here in the Netherlands. I'm right in the heart of the city. Sometimes it gets a little cramped. You know, you can never see more than 100 yards in front of wherever you're standing. So being out there was a blessing, and I had good company, had good beer, had good music, so it was amazing. Little side story for you guys. When we were in we had to do a little night in Minneapolis, so we thought, you know, we was gonna head out. We was gonna hit the bars a little bit, and you know, things got a little turned sideways, And yeah, look, unfortunate situations happen for everybody. Nobody's perfect. Sometimes you drink a little too much. Sometimes you piss in a bush. Sometimes you piss in a trash can. Sometimes you forget to take your pants down and you piss in your pants. It happens to the best of us. I'm not going to give you any details. I'm just going to tell you that I woke up this next morning in an apartment that was not ours. I didn't know anybody who lived in that apartment. I broke my watch, which very sad about that. I don't know. I think I broke like my knee or something. It was a scandal of mediocre proportions, but it was fun nonetheless. We had a good night in Minneapolis. I think I made best friends with a Somalian at some point. I think I got beat up by a Nigerian. Can't remember half of it. I got hit on by a Honduran dude. Tried to seduce a Russian. It all blurs together. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I seduced a Somalian, maybe I got hit on by the Nigerian. You can't remember everything. I'm not an elephant. But it was a fun night regardless. And then the next day, we took off into South Dakota, and it was like a fever dream that next day. So it was great. But the point being, people imagine South Dakota as some podunk, racist, redneck state. And to be fair, yeah, I mean, I guess it is. Everywhere you go, there's, Jesus signs and Trump signs. And by God, South Dakota is literally Trump haven. I mean, I don't think that you're allowed to be a Democrat in South Dakota. I'm pretty sure they'd kick you out. They'd send you to Michigan or something. But it is just really like the heart of America type people there. And my buddy I was with, he's Dutch. I mean, he lives in America, but he's Dutch. And even he was awed by just how down to earth and like real the people there were, and just how they, all they cared about was the country. The country. They cared about like everything being good and right, and you don't get this in the cities. I'm sorry, but you don't. This is similar everywhere. You always got like your down to earth people, your farmers, your hunters, your people who live out in the countryside, and they're always going to be a bit more quiet and calm, and I hate to say rational about things. And you may not agree with that. You may think that most people who live out in the countryside are going to be bigoted and racist, and they're going to be hateful, and that's your opinion. But look, I don't agree with everything that goes on in the hills around the world, but I know that when the stress of life gets to me, there's no place I'd rather be than, on top of a hill staring out at the sunshine. I don't need to be in a shadowy cafe somewhere in the middle of a city. At some point it becomes too much. You need to have peace and quiet. And in a place like South Dakota, that's all there is. That's it. It's peace and quiet. Some people call it a flyover state. There's these things called flyover states. I think that's a bullshit term. I think places you would call a flyover state are the fly-to states. That's where you're trying to get to. But no, it was an awesome trip. I love that. And afterwards, we got done with Sturgis. We turned around. We drove straight back to Minneapolis. Took a flight down to Tennessee. Had to go see the family. Had to go back home for 3 days. That was awesome. Got to take my two Dutch buddies down to Tennessee, see where I'm from, see my family, and I think that blew their mind more than anything, because they told me, they said, we always thought you were like a redneck. They were like, but seeing your family, like, it was just so much more than they could have ever imagined it was. And turns out I just never noticed it. For me, it was just always something normal. But I guess when an outsider saw it, they were just like, "Damn, dude, like, it's that bad, huh?" But it was nice. It was, this past like year has been quite stressful. And one night I got to go to my grandma's house. Got to build a fire outside and sit there, drink a bottle of whiskey. Fell asleep next to the fire. Man, after that, it was the body, the mind, the spirit. They were all three healed. Everything seemed okay again. But it was nice. The Dutch boys, they got to go down to Nashville. They got to, they said they were looking for Haktua. So, Haktua, if you're out there, you're from right next to where I'm from. And so these Dutch boys are out there looking for you. So, you got to hit them up. But they went down to Nashville. They got to hit Broadway. I think they wore a cowboy hat or two, danced to some honky tonk. They loved it though. Took them to some secret waterfalls. That's one thing I miss too. Is like, I think a lot of people in America, they forget, or they're ungrateful a bit, I guess you could say. There's so much everywhere. I mean, there's just so much beauty in America everywhere. I don't care if you live down in bumfuck Alabama, or if you live in New York State, or New Jersey, or California. It doesn't matter. You are never more than an hour from just absolute majesty, natural beauty. You're never more than an hour from something that is probably one of the most beautiful things you're ever going to see in your life. And so I got to take them to a place I hold dear to myself. And it's this little waterfall. And it kind of hit in a certain way because, here in the Netherlands, you don't have much like that. You don't have much natural beauty. Like, luckily, I live next to the beach. I live next to basically the nicest beach in the whole country. And that's about it. In the Netherlands, beauty comes from sort of old buildings, windmills, quaint little villages, and the streets of Amsterdam at night when the light just hits them the right way. That's where beauty here is. There's not much natural beauty, and I think people in America, we're not. I'm not gonna say we. I don't live there anymore, but everybody, it seems, always is so high strung. They're always worried about things. They're always arguing over this and that. I think that they need to just take a moment and remember, I can drive 30 minutes. I can drive an hour, and I can be calm. I can be peaceful. There's always going to be something right there for you to calm you down. You just got to, get in the car, walk, take a bike ride, whatever. But there's always going to be something right there for you to find that little bit of peace that everybody's missing. But that was nice. And luckily, there's one thing in my life that I need and I don't get enough of, and that is Mexican food, because there's not a single good Mexican restaurant in Europe anywhere. And if you think that, you're wrong. So I have people argue with me over this all the time. You're wrong. There's no good Mexican restaurants here. They're all trash. They all suck, and I need that in my life. So luckily I got, I hit up this little spot, got all I could desire, and it set me right for a while. I'll be good maybe till the end of the year, but that was a good day. My Dutch buddies, they got to meet my best friend from Tennessee, and it's always good to see cultures clash like that. They got to meet like I said, they got to meet my family, and it's mind blowing to them. But it's always good to see such a culture clash. But overall, it was a great time. It was a wonderful time. I wouldn't change it for anything. I want to do it more. It's hard though, it's stressful. It always seems stressful until you're halfway through, and then you start stressing about leaving. But anyways, it was a great time, and I miss it. So, but after that, came back here. Came back to the Netherlands. As soon as I unpacked my bags, packed them right back up. Then me and the wife and the kid, we flew to Serbia to go visit my wife's family. And I love it there. For my Serbs, there you go. I love it in Serbia. I think we're gonna move there soon. We go every couple months anyway, so we're always there. But I think we're gonna move there, and I can't wait. I want to make it my home. I want to get settled down, build a house. I love it, man. So to all my Serbian audience, y'all good people. But one thing I love about Serbia is just it's authentic. It's very authentic. There's no preconceptions about who anybody is, about what's going on. Yeah, short of like, you can probably go to those fancy dance clubs downtown on a Friday night, and you'll see people showing off and whatnot, trying to blow money. But other than that, everybody there, they just, they're just living life. They're doing their thing. They don't care. I think Serbia has been so, what do you call it? They've been so isolated between East and West for so long. That they've always been outcast. Even within Europe, they're sort of the outcast country. So they've learned to just sort of get along, do their own thing. And that's a beautiful mentality, and that's one of the things I love about it. And I know, like, when we move there, my idea is, we're gonna go out. We're gonna have a little place in the city in Belgrade, but I want to go out. I'll build my house out in the country, and I'll just leave me alone. That's all I ask, and that's all I want is just leave me alone. And one thing I promise to all the Serbians listening is I'm going to start the greatest rakia factory. It's going to be rakia and whiskey mixed together. That's my idea. I'm going to mix rakia and whiskey together, and I'm going to start distilling it, and it's going to be the greatest. Oh man, it's going to change the game. So I can't wait for that. But yeah, no, I think a lot of progress is happening there as well. I've been going there for like 5 years now, and even since the first time I was there, I've seen things change differently. I know not everybody is happy about the political situation in Serbia, but let's be real. Not everybody is happy anywhere in the world about their political situation. I know a lot of people don't like Vučić, for anybody who knows what I'm talking about. But I think at some point you got to realize, like, whether or not you agree with, his international deals, how he's dealing with China, how he's dealing with the EU, you do got to appreciate the fact that he is Serbian. He is very Serbian, and he wants the country to be very Serbian. So that's something to keep in mind, as you can eventually sell the name Serbia in order to appease everybody else. But I think in the end, it's better to keep your country and struggle than to flourish by selling it, than to benefit from selling your country. So, yeah, I don't know. One thing that happened was kind of a little funny story as well. I always end up getting hurt. Anywhere I go, I always end up getting hurt. I'll fuck myself up really bad. Never fails. And this one is sad. This shows my age now. We was out swimming at the riverside on the island, at the Ada. And I was trying to show off in front of my son a little bit. And, we were having a little diving contest. I was like, well, let me show you how to do a front flip, some somersaults. So I jumped, I did my flip, landed, fine. Didn't even think nothing about it. Kept on doing it. And I guess at some point, I just hit my back the wrong way. And for the next 2 days, I was just walking around on these crutches like an old man. Couldn't even stand up fully. I looked like an old rice farmer, just all hunched over. It was pitiful. But I don't know, it just went away. Enough rakia and it just kicked it out. So luckily I could stand back up a couple days later. Yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be nice as soon as we move there permanently. I think I'll finally be a little bit relaxed. A lot of stress will be taken off. So, if any Serbians are listening to this, hit me up, man, because I got to make some friends when I get there. Afterwards, so before we came back to the Netherlands, we decided to take 3 days, go to Budapest. We hit up some of them famous Hungarian spas, the water park type spas and shit. That was wonderful. I needed that. They had all these weird waters and water slides and swimming pools, and my son, he loved it. He loves jumping in water. He loves swimming, but I like just chilling. I like sitting in the water. They had all these thermal baths. Wonderful. And not to sound greedy or anything, but one thing I love about Serbia and Hungary is it is cheap. It reminds me of Tennessee. After living in the Netherlands for so long, I've gotten sort of used to everything just being ridiculously expensive. And, being back in a place that doesn't take pleasure and just price gouging everybody is quite nice. It reminds me of Tennessee, where things are affordable. Things are just, you can go out and have a good time and not regret it afterwards. But yeah, we went to Budapest. Never been there. Always wanted to go. Absolutely beautiful. Love that city. I think it's gorgeous, and it's huge. I didn't realize it to be so huge, but yeah, it's absolutely huge. Went to the castle, did all the little touristy stuff, walked around a bit. But what I quite enjoy about it is it's very much an aesthetic. It's like a beautiful mix between that charm of an old city, but allowing people to have modern amenities. And there are very few cities like that. Prague is a bit like that. Some cities do it wrong, like Paris, London. They might have the facade of being that old charm, but they're not. They're just disgusting trash heaps of a city. Budapest, at least everywhere we went was clean, very nice, everything well maintained. Nothing looked, no offense to my Serbs, but nothing looked run down and dirty. It was very nice. It looked like a nice, beautiful type of fairy tale, sort of. Now, granted, we were just on both sides of the river. We didn't venture off into the slums or nothing, but no, it was beautiful. And I loved being able to be there and explain to my son a lot of the historical facts about it, a lot of the history behind some of the buildings, behind the bridges, tell him about different events that had happened over the years. Oh, we got to go to a Houdini show. It was awesome. You know, I've been to plenty of little Houdini museums and whatnot, but if you don't know, Houdini was born in Budapest before he moved to America. So they had like a little museum dedicated to him. And I'm a bit of an amateur magician myself, and my son he quite likes magic, so it was nice for him. I thought it was great. You know, it was a bit amateur, but it was very nice. And we went to an escape room, a Harry Potter escape room. I'm still angry at those people because they fucked us, but it was fun. It was quite fun. One thing that I noticed about Budapest, and I don't know why, maybe somebody can explain this to me. They have so many cinemas, and I'm a sucker for a cinema. I mean, every week I go to the cinema probably 5 times a week. And I'm a sucker for cinemas. But they have so many sort of little private, like miniature art house type cinemas. And everyone sort of has their own, you know, twist and theme to it. And I love that. I think that's great. You know, again, here in the Netherlands, you got Pathé. That's it. You got Pathé and maybe a Canopolis, depending on where you're at. But there's no, maybe every town has like one tiny little art house place, but it's not, no. Like, I mean, they had many options, and I was very impressed by that. So yeah, maybe somebody can explain to me how that happened, because that's quite an intricate little detail that I enjoyed. And another thing that, you know, when you hear the news, all you hear about is how Hungary is, you know, anti-EU, anti-NATO, that Viktor Orban is a Putin asset, and he's pro-Russia and all this. And yeah, maybe, but what does it matter? Like, I live in The Hague, which is like they call it the international city. You know, it's one of these cities where the EU and NATO and all the international organizations, they all have their hubs here. So it should be the prime example of how flourishing that sort of globalized ideology can be. And alternatively, Budapest should be the exact image of how bad, you know, being isolated and right-wing and pro-Russia can be. But you know what? Budapest was a much lovelier city than The Hague. I mean, I wish I could pick my camera up right now and show you out my window, and you can see how absolutely disgusting my street here is, and it's covered in trash. There's crackheads running amok, just drunks throwing bottles all over the place all the time. You know, you can barely walk down the sidewalk most days because there's trash just strewn everywhere. But yet, you go to this horrible, horrible place that you read about online in Hungary, and you see nothing but just, you know, antiquated beauty everywhere you go, and beautiful people, beautiful architecture, beautiful history. And I think, you know, I wasn't paying much attention, to be honest, because I was in a sort of happy-go-lucky type of mood, but I didn't see any down-and-out drug addicts. I didn't see any, you know, drunkards stumbling down the street like I do here in The Hague. So it did reaffirm, like, some negativity I keep in my head about the Netherlands, about The Hague. But it was an absolutely beautiful place, and I can't wait to go back. Hopefully next time I get to go for a bit longer. I want to go for like a week, actually do as much as possible, because, you know, realistically we were only there for like 2 days, 3 nights or whatever, or 3 days, 2 nights, whatever. But no, it was absolutely wonderful. And then at the end of it all, we got back on the airplane, flew back to the Netherlands, and people, I know they tell you on the boob tube on the TV that the Netherlands is supposed to be some utopia, some wonderful place where all the greatest things in the world happen. It's not. It's so goddamn depressing in this country. Everything is just about sucking you dry, taking as much from you as they can, whether it be money, time, energy, effort, it doesn't matter. This country is just built on the idea of sucking the souls out of every person that is here. And it's not going to be good one day. But yeah, we got back and started getting back online, seeing the news, what's going on in the world. And all it made me do is sit and think about the past couple weeks and how much I missed places I want to be. You know, I want to be back in America. I want to be in Serbia. But unfortunately, you know, The Hague is a prison. I know you can't just walk out of prison, can you? So we're stuck here for the time being. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to actually make a real video in the coming days about the current events going on. I want to talk about the DNC, about what happened there. I got to address all this bullshit with how the Democrats are handling the election, because it's blowing my mind. I mean, again, you know, the TV, like the media, mainstream media, they will tell you that America is, you know, we are the beacon of democracy and freedom in the world, and that the rest, that Hungary, for instance, Serbia, for instance, or Russia are the exact opposite, that there's no such thing as political freedom, there's no such thing as political expression. And that's absolute nonsense. That's absolute bullshit. You know, I'm sitting here every day, I'm watching people in America and people in the UK, people in Germany getting arrested for talking, for saying things, for using their freedom of speech. And then I can go to these countries where supposedly this does not exist, and I can sit and have coffee and, you know, actually listen to people use real freedom of speech. I can see people on the street with signs. I can see murals painted on the wall. I can see real freedom of speech happening. You know, one of Serbians' favorite pastimes is making memes and art and songs and murals spray painted on walls about Vučić, about their leader. That's one of their most favorite things to do. Imagine if you did that in London. You'd be arrested the next day. You know, you'd be tracked down, be caught on CCTV spraying the wrong thing. They'd get you. But yeah, so I'm gonna make a new video in a couple of days about all this nonsense. Thank you for joining in today. Yeah. So please go and like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Get on Instagram, get on X, follow the page. I'll get into some arguments with people on there about funny shit. So, yeah. Thank you very much, and see you later.
Let us be aware that while they preach the supremacy of the state, declare its omnipotence over individual man, and predict its eventual domination of all peoples on the earth, they are the focus of evil in the modern world.
We're all living in America, America.
We will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest.
America will find you, and we will bring you to justice.
Came, We saw. He died.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.